Hello and welcome to the show. We have the new Tuner Tuesday competition. This is the first week. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it Tuner Tuesday or maybe Racing Tuesday. I don't know. So we have two races for you today. I'd also like to say quickly before we start, thank you to all our subscribers. We hit 4,000 subscribers yesterday, which is yay. We haven't got a special sorted for that, but we will have one for 5,000 if we get that far, which we hope so. Anyway, up first we have got, and I apologise in advance because I probably won't get any of these names right, Rugal Intail, I think. Driving the Saturn Sky. He is on the left, I am on the right. As you can see off the start line, my NSX is actually quite a quick car. I actually took this online lobby racing briefly, and it's pretty damn fast off the line for a rear-wheel drive car. I'm not sure whether it's to do with short gear ratios. My NSX does have very short gear ratios because, well, I wouldn't say very short, relatively short gear ratios. It's also mid-engines, it also has racing tyres. These are all factors that tend to lead to a pretty good launching car. As you can see there in the background, the Saturn may have fallen off the road a little bit. I then completely don't know where I was going through there. The Saturn then followed me off, and amazingly, somehow I got oversteered. That shouldn't happen. I thought I'd tune that car not to do that. But as you can see, the NSX has pulled out a pretty sort of strong lead early on. The Saturn was having a few little issues. I'm going to be honest, having watched the replay, this does not look like the easiest car in the world to drive. What have I got? I've got specifications for it. Well, this is what I got off the telemetry, okay, so it may be a little bit off. Has about 350 horsepower, which is quite a lot in such a small car. The Saturn really has got a very, very short wheelbase. It's turbocharged. It has, and its top speed is about 140 down the main straight, which is pretty respectable. As you can see here, it is a little bit slidey and tail happy. You can also see by the skid marks and dust trail, I may have had another slight little off with the NSX. I wasn't having a hugely brilliant first race, but yeah, the Saturn was having a few issues. Now, I'm sure most of you who will have seen our things regularly, you'll know my feelings when it comes to tuning cars. I like to have cars that are very, very, very planted. And the Saturn here, it would not be my sort of car. I'm going to be honest. As you can see there, it's sort of weaving all over the place. I'd like to point out that there, hopefully the fade didn't cut out too much. I drove through some, I don't know what are they, reflectors or something like that on the corner of the track, and somehow now it wrecked the front of my car. Could anybody tell me quite how reflectors do that? I wasn't going that fast. It sort of ripped the whole front corner or bent it all in. They are like doom reflectors of doom or something. I don't know. That's really weird, because only some cars get affected by it on them. I had it happen with the Shelby Series 1 actually when I was testing. It did the damage to that car. Yeah, other cars can clip them and it's absolutely fine. So yeah, my NSX was having slightly weird damage, but it was pulling quite a good lead. Get that? That was terrible English. Anyway, yes, the Saturn was still doing some sideways moments. As I was saying before, my car got broken somehow. I don't like cars that oversteer. For fun, sure, you know, fun, mess around. You know, I love muscle cars, I love V8 supercars. You know, if you're going to have a mess about with... Actually, V8 supercars kind of screw this whole thing over a little bit. But when it comes to racing cars, if I'm building a car, I don't make a car that oversteers. That's a very weird replay glitch going on there with the Saturn. It kind of makes it look like it was understeering while it's rear-wheel drive. I don't really know. Slight lock-up there doesn't really help causes too much. I don't really know what's going on with these replays, so I apologise for strange wheel spins and strange gear changes. It's lagging replays, and I can't really do anything about it. Anyway, yes, oversteer and understeer. When I set up a car, I want a car that is very, very planted at the back end. I want a car that whatever you do with it, the back end will not step out. If that means it's going to understeer a little bit, then that's fine by me. I would rather have a car that does that than a car that has oversteer. The reasoning behind it is if you go around a corner and you put the power down and you get a little bit of understeer, that's okay, you can deal with it. If you go around a corner, put the power down, and your car's suddenly going sideways, you lose a lot more time. Sure, you can deal with it, but you're losing time when your car's going sideways. That's my theory behind it. I know other people have different opinions on it. I've said this before. I know some people prefer oversteer. I know Daniel is one of those who would rather have the car oversteering. I want a car that is stuck to the road. When I'm racing, that is. If I'm messing about, then yeah, who cares? It's fun going sideways. But if I'm actually racing, I want a car that's stuck to the road. As I said, it goes kind of a little bit apart when I love V8 supercars. Yeah, just forget that. That's the odd one out. Anyway, as we come towards the end of the 3-lap race, the NSX has pulled out a pretty good lead. The NSX is looking like a damn good car for this challenge as we come across towards the finish line with its slightly strange, silly damage on it. Don't really ask. And then we go. The NSX takes the win. The Saturn then does a little bit of a showy-offy, drifty moment. My car can't do that. It finished about 10 seconds, maybe a little bit more behind the NSX. It was a bit unfortunate. We had a bit of bad luck with the Saturn. Anyway, on to the next race. This is me against, again, I apologise for getting the name probably wrong, Red Rose Raid 98, I think. He is driving the Toyota MR2. This time, it is on the right. I am on the left. Yes, I do know my left and right. Honest. Again, off the line this time, the other driver, Red, was a little bit sluggish, didn't really pay a huge amount of attention to the clock, so I got a bit better launch from that. But again, the NSX is a pretty good accelerating car. As we come around the first corner though, I was expecting this to be a tough race. I know what that MR2 is like. I've raced against them. I've actually raced them in series before. They are very, very good handling cars. And this is where the tactics come into a little bit, especially with A-Class. As you can see through the Maggots and Beckett's curbs, the MR2 is quite a bit faster. You can see it's climbing all over the back of my car. I don't have a particularly good line through that corner. As you can see there, I've lost a little bit of time. Then we come onto the straight. This is where the big tactics of, especially this circuit and this sort of class of racing. Do you go for the straight line speed car, which is kind of what I've got, or do you go for the handling car, which is what the MR2 is? You go for the straight line speed car, it's going to make it difficult to get past you. That is assuming you sort of get in first off the line, because all overtake, or 95% of overtaking that doesn't involve a mistake somewhere, is done in the braking zones. Now, there are about 3 overtaking spots around this circuit. That's one there at the end of the long straight, and the first corner, possibly the first corner is a little bit iffy, and at the end of this straight here, actually, I'll say 4 overtaking spots. The first corner is a little bit tricky to do sort of properly. Now, if I have a car that's quicker in a straight line, it makes the chasing car very, very hard to sort of find a way past me, because it has to brake so much later because it has all that time to make up. Of course, around the corners, you can see here, the MR2 is much, much faster. All the time that I've made up in the straight, I kind of lose through these cornery sections. Now, the reason I picked the NSX over something much, much faster is because the NSX can actually go around corners. And my theory here is that I have a car that's pretty good in a straight line. Not going to be the fastest. Someone brings a muscle car and going to get annihilated, but it will actually still go around corners, so it should be okay against sort of like the MR2s, sort of sporty, good handling cars, and it might be alright against the muscle cars. I'm still concerned that I'll get mullered by them. But as you can see here, it is a pretty tough battle going on. This is only at the end of the first lap, and the MR2 is still, well, it is pretty much right behind me. We are on a straight again. I've got a little bit of a speed advantage. I have to say, I was surprised by how fast the MR2 was in a straight line. I get the first corner a little bit wrong through it. I don't like that first corner. And as you can see here, the MR2's got a better drive. It's got a bit of a run on me, but it just hasn't got the straight line speed. And you cannot fit 2 cars through this section of the track very easily. It normally ends up in a big crash. So as we come through Maggots and Beckett's, I'm now all out of shape because I was on the wrong line for the first part. And this is quite a flowing section. If you miss up the first corner, you're going to be messed up for the next 3. And as you can see here, I've got a very good line through that, and we are coming out onto the straight, and the MR2 is now right behind me. This is where I was praying my car has the sort of straight line speed. It does have a little bit of an advantage, of course. The car behind you is getting a tow, and with cars, these are pretty evenly matched. I was honestly expecting there to be a big dive at that corner. I probably would have gone for that gap. He probably would have got past. It was a bit of a tight one. I was expecting a lunge there, but he bided his time, and this is as we come on the second lap, I think. As you can see, the MR2 is all over the back of my NSX. I was trying very hard to defend here. I would say, personally, I'm quite a good defensive driver. As you can see here, I'm getting rather hounded by the MR2. Again, we come onto a straight. This time the MR2 is much, much closer coming into the first corner. It's going to be quite hard, because there isn't a huge speed difference between these cars. I was amazed actually how quick MR2 was in a straight line, and I get the first corner wrong, and that was a bad mistake. This time the MR2 was much, much closer. He could dive up the inside, and then we were pretty much neck and neck, but I just fallen a couple of feet behind, and I had to yield the corner. Otherwise we were going to have a big crash, and that's not what you want to see. So I'm now sort of chasing through the Beckett's complex. Of course, the MR2, now with me out of the way, is got a better sort of line through here, and I pretty much have one more chance if I'm going to get back into the lead. That's at the end of the straight, but as you can see here, haven't had the best sort of section of corners, and it's going to be very, very tricky. The NSX is good in a straight line, but even this isn't that fast enough to make up that sort of gap, and then under the brakes as well. So I had a little think about it, but there just wasn't enough space. I couldn't risk throwing my car sort of up the inside and taking off the MR2. While I think about it, because I've forgotten up until now, specifications on the MR2, only 295 horsepower, which probably helps explain why it's not the fastest in the straight line. Again, it's turboed. Straight line speed is only a few miles an hour slower than my NSX. While I think about it as well, with my NSX, it's running 328 horsepower, not a particularly powerful car, but it is fairly good in the straight line. I'm quite surprised actually. It is naturally aspirated as well. It's the only car so far we've had that is naturally aspirated. It has been the fastest in a straight line. It's about 145, 146. As you can see here, coming around the last corner, or the last couple of corners on the final lap, I was trying all sorts of different lines, trying to find a way of making up a little bit of time, but there really was not much I could do as the MR2 comes out of the last corner, just to run to the line. And again, the NSX is a little bit better in a straight line, but it's not going to make up that sort of distance. As much as I try, it's not going to do it. So the MR2 takes the victory. So there we go. I had 1 win and 1 loss. I'd say that's not too a bad day. This is the car that this beat me, just sort of showing it off a little bit. So he received his prize car. So there we go. That is the first Racy Tunery Tuesdays, whatever I'm going to end up calling this. I should have thought that before I started this video. Never mind. Yeah, that's the first video in this series. So thank you very much for watching. Now, if you want to get involved, this is a little bit complicated, so I'll try my best to explain it. Now, if the cars are A-Class, it's all A-Class Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Now, you keep the cars. Don't send the cars to me, please, because I'm not doing anything with them. You're the ones who are racing us. Yeah, so if you want to take part, you need to send me a message. My game tag will be on the screen now, hopefully, or in the description. Send me a message with what car you are going to be using, what country you're from, I'll explain that in a minute, and who you would like to challenge. You can choose who you want to challenge. You can race me, you can race Daniel, or you can race TJ. I've got loads of challenges against me. I think I scared people off by saying how quick Daniel is. Yes, Daniel is a very fast driver, so yeah, if you're a good driver, I suggest you challenge him, honestly. And you can always race TJ, who I think is probably a little bit slower than I am. Once you've done that, I will put your names into a big complicated spreadsheet. I may put this on the internet somewhere so you can see sort of who's coming up when. Races will be ran on Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock. Okay, I will try and message you a couple of days beforehand if I'm expecting you to, if we're hoping to race you. There might be some last minute changes if you can't make it, if we can't do it. So it may change on the day. We'll try and be a little bit organised. Now, if you are either from America or Australia, or you just can't make Thursday 7 o'clock, you're working, then don't worry, you can still enter if you send me a message saying that you won't be able to make that time. It's 7 o'clock GMT time, by the way, before I forget. If you can't make that time from different time zones, or for your working, you're busy or whatever, then let me know in the message and you'll still go on the list. I will organise a time that is sort of suitable for you. I'll send you a message saying this week we want to race you, what time can you do, and we will try and sort something out. It might take a while to get round to you, I apologise. We're doing the best we can. It's a bit hard organising this, but so far it seems to be working quite well. I'll do my best to let you know in advance as well when we're expecting you to be on. So yes, there we go. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.